offer as deadline closes. Players are seeking a salary cap of $10 million, 30% of league revenue. The league believes it will cost it'll be an atrocious loss. 30% is crazy, bro. How do you give 30% of something you ain't got?
What you just heard isn't just someone venting. Adam Silver is reportedly fed up as CBA talks hit a breaking point. With only 48 hours left before a possible lockout, the divide between what players are demanding and what the league can realistically pay has grown massive. It's not a small disagreement anymore. It's a financial gap big enough to put the entire 2025 season at risk.
Report goes on to say, you heard a lot of chatter about what we're asking for is not sustainable for the business. Nafisa Collier said during an Unrivaled broadcast Monday. Being on this side with Unrivaled, I know what it takes to run a sustainable business. Yeah, but you ain't had this business for 30 damn years. If they can't find a model.
Here's the number driving all this turmoil. 2 weeks ago, the WNBA Players Association submitted a proposal asking for 30% of gross league revenue and a massive jump in the salary cap, from $1.5 million to $10.5 million per team. Front Office Sports confirmed those figures on January 7th, 2025. The league's response has been blunt. According to their calculations, accepting this deal wouldn't just cut into profits. It would create roughly $700 million in losses over the life of the CBA. Losses so severe, they could push teams toward bankruptcy.
To put people in place who can. We're proving that it's possible. There is a way. We're thriving in it. Y'all thriving in it. Your league only been around for 2 years. How could you base your 2-year data off 30-year data? They've been having to pay salaries, pay for arenas, pay for different things for the last 30 years. And they just now, we don't even know if they even made a profit. Just last year when Caitlin Clark came, they was at a $24 million loss. Do we all forget this?
That clip highlights the real issue at the center of this debate. The Unrivaled League has been around for less than 2 years and runs on a very different business model. Yet some players are pointing to it as proof that WNBA owners are being dishonest about what the league can sustain. What that comparison leaves out is a major fact. The WNBA has been financially supported by the NBA for 28 straight years. In 2023, the league lost about $40 million. In 2024, even with the Caitlin Clark boost bringing record ratings, the league still finished roughly $24 million in the red. It's understandable that players want higher pay. But the problem is how the negotiations are being handled. They're pushing demands as if the money is already there, while the league's actual financial numbers tell a very different story.
Now, Nafisa Collier been tripping. It says both sides agreed to second extension hours before the CBA was set to expire on November the 30th. Last month, the WBPA authorized a strike in a vote that included 93% of participation from players. 98% voted to allow the union's executive committee to call a strike when necessary. Now, if both sides can agree.
Now let's look at what the league actually put on the table, because this is where things shift. In early December, the WNBA offered players 70% of net revenue, not gross revenue, which is what the players are demanding, but net. People close to the talk say that works out to roughly 15% of total gross revenue. Under this proposal, the team salary cap would rise from $1.5 million to $5 million. Maximum salaries would climb past $1.3 million. And average pay would go over $500,000 over the life of the deal. That's more than triple the current salary cap. For a league that has never made a profit, that's a serious offer. But the players turn it down because they're pushing for revenue sharing based on gross income, not net.
Stoppers, whether in the form of a lockout initiated by the owners or strike initiated by the players, would not be automatic. If neither side initiated a work stoppage, negotiation could instead enter a period of status quo. Under the terms, so this is what's finna happen possibly, y'all. So it said, under the terms of the current CBA, the players cannot strike without terminating the extended agreement. But if negotiations are under status quo, the union could call a strike at any.
What makes this negotiation so dangerous is how close it is to the edge. Both sides already agreed to extend the deadline twice. First on November 30th, when the original CBA was set to expire, and again in late December. Now it's January 7th. The January 9th midnight deadline is almost here, and there's still no agreement. Back in November, the WNBA Players Association held a strike authorization vote. 93% of players took part, and 98% of those voters gave leadership the power to call a strike if needed. That's not posturing or pressure for show. That's a serious threat sitting right on the table.
Right. It is. If the union could call it, that's probably what's going to happen after the 9th. I'm the first one calling this. That's probably what's going to happen on the 9th, probably late January 9th. No more extensions. It's going to be a strike that will be forced by the union. The union is more than likely, from what I'm reading, it's going to be the ones to inflict this strike onto the WNBA. Now, that's what this...
And this is the rule that makes a strike feel almost unavoidable. Under the current CBA, players can't strike unless the agreement is officially ended. But if talks move into what's called a status quo period after January 9th, where the old deal stays in place while negotiations continue, the union gains the ability to call a strike at any time without warning. There will be no need for another vote or fresh approval. The executive committee already has that authority. So even if the league avoids a lockout after January 9th, a mid-season strike could still happen at any moment. That risk would hang over every game, every TV contract, and every sponsorship discussion. And that kind of uncertainty alone could seriously damage the league's momentum.
Right now, Adam Silver is frustrated as hell. Like, why we can't get this deal done? Like, it's not for to be a WNBA season, guys. I really don't think it is. Like, not if they're asking for down there half of the revenue. Like, how are we gonna give you half when we don't even have half to give? They don't even have half to give. Yeah, I do understand it, right? Guys, get down in the comment section right now. Let me know your thoughts about this one. Make sure you keep the bells on and tell.
Let's put the 30% demand into real context. NBA players get about 50% of basketball-related income, but that comes from a league making nearly $10 billion a year with decades of proven profits. The WNBA is in a very different position. In 2024, the league brought in roughly $200 million in total revenue. 30% of that is $60 million taken off the top before a single expense is paid. That leaves about $140 million to cover everything else: arena rentals, travel, staff pay, marketing, and TV production. And even without this pay structure, the league still lost $24 million last year. So the problem isn't complicated. The numbers simply don't add up. At that level, the model doesn't just struggle, it all but guarantees bankruptcy within a few years.
Fans, they're killing the interest. Y'all talking about fans, tweeting, us making videos. Y'all doing everything y'all can to sabotage y'all current little hype that y'all got, to a point now where the hype is so bad, hell, it's hard to get 5,000 views on a video right now. I just got to keep it real because ain't nobody else going to see it. Everybody is struggling. If your name ain't Rachel Dementa, you're struggling. I'm sorry. It's that bad. But us trying to report on this thing is keeping on.
This is why Adam Silver's frustration makes sense. According to multiple reports, he believed the deal was basically wrapped up in early December. From the league's point of view, they had already made a strong offer, tripling the salary cap, introducing revenue sharing for the first time in WNBA history, and laying out a path to million-dollar max contracts. Silver expected the players to come back with small changes, meet somewhere in the middle, and announce a deal before Christmas. That didn't happen. Instead, the union responded with a 30% revenue demand the league says it simply cannot afford. Now Silver has to step in personally to renegotiate something he thought was already close to done. And all of this is happening with the clock running out, raising the real risk of a lockout or a strike, either of which could wipe out the momentum created by Caitlin Clark's rookie season.
That being said, bruh, let's dive into this article that has just been released about an hour ago, man. This is from Front Office Sports. Not even an hour, about an hour ago. So this is the current state of the WNBA. So WNBA.
This is the part that should worry every WNBA fan. The league just had the strongest season in its history. Caitlin Clark helped drive TV ratings that jumped dramatically in some markets. The Indiana Fever went from crowds of about 4,000 to selling out arenas with 17,000 fans. Merchandise sales surged, Media attention exploded, and major sponsors who once ignored the league suddenly showed real interest. And yet, in response to this momentum, players are pushing for a financial setup that could wipe out those gains and push the league deeper into losses. This isn't about whether players deserve more money. They absolutely do. The issue is that demanding 30% of gross revenue from a league that has never been profitable isn't a workable plan. It risks collapsing the very progress that was just made. What makes this so frustrating is that the players' complaints are valid. Salaries have been far too low for elite athletes. Many players have had to play overseas just to earn a stable income. The league has underinvested in marketing for years, and owners often treated it like a side project instead of serious business. All of that is true. But the answer to decades of neglect isn't a deal that guarantees failure. One breakout season can spark growth, but it can't erase 30 years of financial reality overnight. That's why the league's offer of 70% of net revenue matters. Net revenue means paying the bills first: arenas, travel, staff, production, and then splitting what's left with players taking a larger share. That approach gives the league room to grow without risking everything it just gained. This is what makes a deal sustainable. It allows the league to grow and creates a real partnership where everyone benefits when the WNBA succeeds. Net revenue sharing works because expenses, arenas, travel, staff, production are covered first, and players then take a fair share of what's left. Gross revenue sharing is different. Players get paid first before any costs. That works in the NBA because the league makes billions in revenue. But in a $200 million league that's already losing money, taking 30% off the top is a recipe for financial disaster. Adam Silver's involvement underscores how serious this is. He doesn't have to step in. The NBA subsidizes the WNBA, but Silver could leave the owners to sort it out. The fact that he's personally negotiating shows the NBA is still invested. But even that commitment has limits. If a strike happens or the owners lock out players and the 2025 season is canceled or delayed, all the momentum from Caitlin Clark's breakout season disappears. Casual fans won't wait. Sponsors will pull back, and broadcasters will fill the airwaves with other content. The opportunity the league created in 2024 could vanish, and it might be another decade before something like it happens again. Right now, the WNBA has never been more relevant or visible. Expansion teams are on the table. New markets are showing interest, and young fans are buying jerseys and filling arenas like never before. This cultural moment is real, but the players' 30% gross revenue demand threatens to destroy it. Financial experts agree. It's not a tough problem to fix. It's impossible. In the WNBA's current financial structure, 30% of gross revenue doesn't just fail to work. It guarantees bankruptcy. Not maybe, not eventually. Bankruptcy. Within 3 years, teams could start folding if this continues. So what happens on January 9th? If no deal is reached, the most likely scenario is that negotiations enter a status quo period. The old CBA technically remains in effect while talks continue. But here's the catch. The union can call a strike at any time without further authorization. Training camps are scheduled for April. The season kicks off in May, and sponsors are being asked to commit millions without knowing if games will actually happen. The pressure falls squarely on the players. At this point, the league has already offered a deal that triples salaries and introduces revenue sharing for the first time ever. Owners are clearly willing to invest in growth. Adam Silver is personally negotiating, showing the NBA's financial backing. Meanwhile, the players are pushing for terms that economists say would bankrupt the league. If a strike happens and the 2025 season is delayed or canceled, the top stars will survive. Caitlin Clark has multi-million-dollar endorsement deals. Angel Reese has her own revenue streams. But the players earning league minimums, relying on overseas contracts, or counting on the salary increases in the league's offer are the ones who would suffer most. The question every WNBA fan should be asking is simple. Is 30% of gross revenue worth destroying the league's best opportunity ever? This isn't theory or a distant negotiation. It's real, and the deadline is 48 hours away. The league has shown its cards, offering a path to significant salary increases tied to financial reality. Now the players have to choose: build something sustainable or demand terms that look good in headlines, but fail in spreadsheets. So what happens on January 9th? Will the union accept reality and take the league's offer? Will they push into a status quo period and hold a strike threat over the entire season? Or will Adam Silver step back and let the owners lock the players out until realistic demands return?